So what's coming when it comes to Quant? Well, in terms of an event, there could very well be one upcoming. Let me explain what I mean by this, even though I'll talk about the price of Quant later and what I think about it, even though nothing I say is financial advice and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. So Quant allegedly made a post saying, mark your diaries. And here's the thing, they're talking about being a sponsor of the Digital Innovation Summit on June 25th at the Business Design Center in London. This right here, I think, is pretty impressive because people like to say, wow, who cares about this? But I think this, if anything, is a good opportunity, especially for the CEO and founder of Quant, to actually make Quant more well known. Because let's think about this, right? He allegedly will be on stage and he's going to be probably speaking and stuff like that. So that's really impressive, in my opinion. Keep in mind, people like to say, oh, when it comes to Quant, no one cares about it. Well, if they can become a sponsor again of the Digital Innovation Summit 2026 in London, England, this right here is just, I think, something that is being recognized, right? It's not being treated like a joke. Or not, how would it be able to be a sponsor of an event that impressive, in my opinion? And I think that London, the buildings are absolutely amazing. My favorite of all time in London is actually the Lloyd's building. It's in Leadenhall Street. It looks awesome. It looks like a factory from the outside, but it's actually not. It's my favorite building of all time. Some of my friends, they don't think it's their favorite, but it's one of my favorite buildings of all time. But yeah, besides that point, we have to sometimes consider, despite when it comes to this space in particular, Quant being ranked 62nd in the world in terms of market cap, despite all that, not every single person out there is going to know what Quant is. Like if I just mentioned Quant to a lot of my friends, they wouldn't really know what it is. That's the thing. So again, being a sponsor of an event, that right there gives better exposure. Better exposure could mean what, right? Maybe better adoption. Maybe more exposure to developers could also indirectly affect the future of Quant, because if more developers choose to build, let's say, if they want to use the Overledger OS to build multi-chain applications, if that is the case, that is inherently going to be a good thing for Quant moving forward. But it takes time, it takes effort, right? That's why people do advertising. You know what I mean? Like, how would I be able to know something if I don't even know it exists? So people like to say, oh, Quant's being lazy. That's actually not true. Keep in mind, Gilbert Verdian, he's a very well-experienced individual, has a very impressive resume. He doesn't really need to do this, some people like to say, but he's doing it anyways, right? That showcases how he is still pretty adamant and pretty motivated when it comes to Quant. Keep in mind, we're talking about Quant here, something that allegedly pioneered blockchain interoperability. So this is not some random joke or some random project that's a meme. That's actually not the case. There's a little bit of a different vibe. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like some memes out there, but I'm just saying, some people out there kind of think Quant is a meme, but I don't think about it that way. Like, they treat it like a joke in a sense. It's just kind of a figure of speech, right? Some people sometimes think that Quant is a joke, but I don't think about it that way. Quant, keep in mind, people like to say, oh, look at these other altcoins. Their recovery has been 10, 15, 20% in the past 24 hours. Take a look at Quant. Around 0.10%. They like to say that is so embarrassing. Well, okay, here's the thing. Could Quant follow what they do? Who knows, but it wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time as well, even if, let's say, Quant just recovered 10% or whatever, it wouldn't even be at $80. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's such a massive movement anyways, like around 10%, if it were to happen in a 24-hour time span, considering just how much this space has had a pullback. But my mindset isn't 24 hours or 48 hours anyways. I mean, it'd be cool if Quant could recover like that a little bit, but my time horizon, maybe it might have to be years. I mean, I don't know how long I'm gonna have to wait, but I don't mind waiting. That's the thing. That's a core principle. I don't mind waiting if I have to. And if I take a look at Quant, you know what? If it's at around $70, all it means is that it's actually around 2 times lower than where it was in December 2024. Bitcoin's not 2 times lower than its all-time high. And December 2024 isn't even the all-time high when it comes to Quant. Keep in mind, the all-time high actually, when it comes to Quant, is $428. So for simplicity's sake, it's almost $430, right? Keep in mind, we're around 6 times lower than that, right now, right? We're around 6 times lower than its all-time high. Ethereum and Bitcoin is most definitely not 6 times lower than its all-time high as of right now. It just isn't. For Bitcoin and Ethereum to be around 6 times lower than its all-time high, it would need to go way lower, right? That's the thing. Quant is around 6 times lower than its all-time high. It doesn't need to go any lower, which may seem like a bad thing. I get it at first glance. But I sometimes have to consider this. You know, it's like, for instance, the bigger the discount, is that a bad thing? I mean, imagine if I wanted to buy a sofa at IKEA for whatever reason. I'm just saying in an example. Would I be mad at a discount? Would I be like, oh, I can't believe IKEA had a discount on the sofa? No. How does that make sense? Right? It doesn't make sense, actually. Some people out there like it if gold has a pullback in terms of price because they can dollar cost average a little bit more. But I kind of view it a little bit no different here. It's just, in this case, I get how some people may feel about this space because it's like purely digital like that. But I kind of view it no different. It's just one is actually physical, like in the hypothetical case of gold, but this one is just a little bit different. It's like digital. There's like nothing I can like, grab like that, right? There's no way I can, try to hold Quant in my hands. There's no way. It just doesn't exist in a physical form like that. So I get how some people may feel like, oh, why are you treating this like gold where there's a dip? You like it? Like, how does that make sense? But again, if I treat it both as like, I guess, something that hopefully, maybe, hypothetically, could do something, who knows, appreciate, I kind of view it no different. It's just one is physical, one isn't. But yeah, besides that point though, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And by the way, did you know that Quant has around 165,000 holders? Kind of impressive. A lot of stadiums can't fit that many people. But besides that point, people like to say, oh, Quant is toasted, right? It's deep fried, it's cooked, it's, whatever. But we have to consider, it's ranked 62nd in the world, again, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, in terms of market cap within this space. So what? Something that's ranked 62nd is cooked, but suddenly something that's ranked like 80th, 100th, or whatever is not cooked? Now, I just have a hard time believing that. You know what I mean? It's just, how does that make sense? Some people like to say, oh, Quant is done for. But then when I ask them, okay, what isn't cooked? And they point to like some random project that's ranked like 3,873rd or whatever. I'm like, come on, seriously? So a project ranked around 60 something is suddenly cooked, but then something that's ranked like 3,000 plus or whatever is not cooked? It doesn't even make sense in my opinion. When I take a look at something in the case of Quant, we'll wait and see what happens, but I'm still waiting, and that's pretty much it. But again, people like to say, oh, Quant's not doing anything, make an update, make an update. Well, again, there apparently is going to be something that's coming soon when it comes to Quant in terms of being a sponsor at the Digital Innovation Summit on June 25th at the Business Design Center in London, which I think is pretty cool. And apparently it's going to start at 8 a.m. So kind of early, not too much, but it's going to go on until 7 p.m. Wow. Could you imagine if like Gilbert Verdian, which again is the CEO and founder of Quant, imagine if he's there the whole time? Could you imagine that from like 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.? Yeah, I don't know if he'd do that though. That's, a little bit debatable. We'll wait and see. But yeah, besides that point, I think it's a thought that counts, right? So again, them sponsoring that event, it's kind of all that matters in my opinion. However, again, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.